Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. At this time, please be advised that all microphones should be turned to mute. May I have a motion to open the meeting for public comment on agenda items and policy only?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Again, if you haven't done this yet, especially if you're in full screen, if you click into the center, you should see a to the bottom right way to raise your hand if you would like to speak, and then Mr. Crotty will unmute you when it is time. Residents are requested to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments.
Okay, we have Emily Sycamatellis. Emily,
Hello?
can you mute yourself? Yes.
Hi. My question might be a little premature, but I noticed that there was a policy change for the immunizations. I'm wondering if that's in anticipation of a mandatory COVID vaccine?
No.
If so, will there be an alternative for parents who don't wish to give their children the new vaccine? Or will it just be homeschooling or vaccine be the choices?
Okay, so what we're going to do is take notes on all the questions and we'll answer at the end in the essence of trying to keep the meeting on time.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see any more hands up right now. Right? Oh, I do have one, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah Milnicki, 102 Claremont Ave. I just saw that there was an approval for an agency for psychiatrists, OTPT, I think speech maybe. I was just curious if you're hiring just additional people or if it's perhaps something like an out-of-district student or a home student.
Okay. Next.
Anybody else? I don't see any more hands at this time.
No one else?
I don't think so.
May I have a motion to close the meeting for public comment?
So
Motion.
second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are closed for public comment.
So should I respond at this point?
Excuse
Okay.
me?
So should I respond at this point? So the policy regarding immunizations is not COVID related. There would be no change, as far as I understand, to the immunization policy that's already in place by law. The law would supersede any policy like that. And the agency, yes, is for it's for a particular student.
Okay, and now we'll continue with the superintendent's report. Ms. Shannon, please.
Thank you. And bear with me, please, for this report. I have a lot to share with you tonight. Just some of these things are just compulsory. The first piece is that the January through June violence and vandalism, substance abuse, HIV, end of the year update, which was supposed to take place during the COVID shutdown. Most of that time period was during the COVID shutdown. So every month we report out HIB reports to the public. And then twice a year in June and in January, or in July and in January, the superintendent has to submit a district summary of those incidents to the state of New Jersey. So we have monthly reports and then we have summary reports. So this summary in particular includes whether or not we do mandatory training. We have to provide that, the actual numbers of training and when and how, HIV awareness and instruction for our faculty, admin, and students, and of course prevention. We have to identify the total numbers of investigations and numbers of affirmative cases, and then the unfounded results. And so basically it's everything that we present at public meetings, but we summarize it in a twice yearly report. So this report is part of the CUSAC process. And so at this point, I'm officially reminding the Board of Ed of this report's existence and its our need for timely reporting. And this is essentially the June report that I am officially reminding you of. And then in January, I will remind you of the December report. And we've been very fortunate that since the school year started, we have not had any incidents like this that we have had to deal with, quite fortunately. So I also wanted to let you know that there's an update on the before and after care committee. So the committee is comprised of a variety of parents, some board members, and we have met 3 times so far. We met last week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. We have created a parent survey together, and we will send that parent survey out by December 15th, and it won't be due until after the new year. I will also send out reminders, and we're going to ask parents their priorities and their needs and their desires for before and after care for September. So we're also beginning to make notes for our RFP. So we're going to meet again as a committee and review the survey results and prepare for the RFP. We'll be meeting again on January 7th and January 10th via Zoom. So I want to thank all of those parents and the board members for their time. We did spend a lot of time together, 1, 2, 3, 4.5, almost 5 hours working on this. So I'm really grateful for them taking away time from their families to work on this important initiative. Also, within the next week, we will launch the Alpha Best webpage on our website. So they'll have a link within our website so that parents can get started on registration, and people who are interested in possible employment opportunities will have a link to apply. Okay, so we've had some questions and concerns about the COVID, the orange, that we're in the orange zone and there have been an increase in cases. And I just wanted to share with you just some information. I asked the principals to provide me with how many students we were talking about that we thought were, that we knew were moving from in-person hybrid learning to a shift in virtual learning to track how many parents were truly concerned about sending their students to school. And the numbers are actually quite low. At Franklin, we've had only 10 students who have shifted from in-person to purely virtual between Thanksgiving and Christmas. At Smith, 20, but Smith had a few cases, so that actually number that doesn't surprise me. And some people had, some Thanksgiving holiday quarantine time. And Long School has 15. They also had cases since Thanksgiving. So those were the numbers at the elementary school. So that's how many students shifted from in-person to virtual. And I think it's important for us to track the data and see whether or not it's like a mass exodus out of school or if parents are still comfortable sending their children to school. At the middle and high school, 39 students pulled out since Thanksgiving break. That number doesn't really shock me. There are 780 kids in the building, so it pretty much relatively proportional. And middle and high school students work independently much more easily, don't need supervision and childcare as much. So it doesn't surprise me that our little older learners are choosing to go virtual. I also have the principals looking for me and the guidance counselors looking for me closely at students' achievement and their report card grades and how they're doing and attendance, because I want to see the difference between student attendance during this time and student grades and achievement during this time compared to maybe this year this time a year ago. So we are watching that, and it is something that we discuss as a team. We meet weekly, and these are things we're paying close attention to. Okay, so good news. So district-wide, I'd like to thank Mrs. Violetti and our SCL committee for capitalizing on Giving Tuesday. Last year, we did a big collection of supplies and toiletries and all sorts of things for a shelter. And this year, they decided to do pen pals. So it was a big pen pal project where students could do write a pen pal to one of the senior citizens through our senior center. So the philosophy obviously behind this, in addition to the fact that the art of letter writing is certainly a lost art, we wanted to connect children who might be feeling a little bit alone with some seniors who are probably feeling a little bit alone. It's a very difficult time for seniors. Some seniors haven't seen their children or their grandchildren in a while, and some kids haven't seen their grandparents in a while. I know it's difficult for my children to get my parents on a FaceTime call. They're just not that tech savvy. It's like an event. So we wanted to brighten the days of the seniors, and we had over 100 students write pen pals, and Mrs. Violetti told me that the pen pal returns are starting to trickle in. So the seniors are writing back to their students, and she had an opportunity to run around and deliver some of those letters to our students from their seniors. So it was a great event for Giving Tuesday. Franklin School Student Council organized its annual Socktober sock drive, and as a school community collected 285 pairs of socks that were donated to Family Promise of Bergen County. Socks are the #1 most requested item. So the next fundraiser will benefit the Saddlebrook Food Pantry, run by the First Reformed Church of Saddlebrook, and students will be asked to bring in hats, scarves, and gloves. So we will continue to recognize students who show good character by announcing bucket fillers each week at Franklin, and 1 student from each cohort is recognized every week. Athletics. We have a lot in athletics. I haven't reported out, but this is our full report. So the Saddlebrook High School Athletic Department would like to recognize our Fall Sports Award winners. First team cross country, Joseph Quimby, Caroline Caprellian, Devin Davila, and Julia Bednars. Second team cross country, Gianna Logerfo and Colin Unis. Honorable mention, Olivia Prescroco and Justin Scambati. First team football, Joey Nudo, Derek Muio, and John Hacker. Second team football, David Moreno, Brian Stanzione, Nick Kawadi, an honorable mention to Nick Ciolino. Second team tennis, second team doubles, Allison Walby, Stephanie McNamara. First team boys soccer, Brandon Rowland. Second team boys soccer, Angelo Diamore, Ramo Chekic, Nick Mallon. Lastly, congratulations to our girls soccer team on winning, yes, another league championship for the 3rd year in a row. Congratulations to Coach Deandra Donato again on being selected as this year's Girls Division II Soccer Coach of the Year. First team girls soccer, Anna Memja, Isabella Sara, Mia Lopez, Nicole Kalinowski, Tiana Governale. Second team girls soccer, Megan Holdsworth, Kayla Simon, Ashley Torbick, Dakota Valverde. Receiving second team all group honors, Anna Memja. Third team all county, Mia Lopez. And congratulations to both Anna Memja and Mia Lopez for receiving all state honors. Congratulations to all our award winners. And with the completion of a very successful fall season, the Saddlebrook High School Athletic Department would like to thank the administration, the Board of Education, the coaches, the parents, and the athletes for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to providing a safe fall season for all of our athletes. Special thanks to the parents, administrators, faculty, and staff members who volunteered many hours interviewing candidates for the position of vice principal and high school principal, and for making very well thought out recommendations. You will see the positions on tonight's agenda. Middle school, high school, good news. Middle School Student Council, with the help of the staff and the faculty, have worked together to have another successful annual Smiles in the Snow toy drive. This is a toy drive for the Saddlebrook Food Pantry and the First Reformed Church, who serve approximately 60 families in our area and rely on the donations and kindness of the community. Every year, the toy drive gets a little bigger, and this year it brought in 75 gifts that will be distributed by the Saddlebrook Food Pantry to the community members in need. The generosity of the faculty and the students is something that warms Pastor Wolf's heart each year. Our goal is to grow each year so that more children and families can have a smile that they deserve during the season. Our hope is next year to bring this annual Smiles in the Snow drive to the other buildings as well. Middle school and high school, Mr. Meisch wanted me to report that middle school, high school inducted 24 new members into the Saddlebrook High School's chapter of the National Honor Society. These were all students who qualified in the spring and in the fall, and we could not have our event in the spring. Congratulations to them. And for those of you who were online for that special evening, I thought it was a wonderful event, very academic, elegant, and I know that Mr. Karate was sitting there with bated breath, hoping that none of the real candles that we lit caught fire, but they didn't, and we had fire extinguisher standing by. We had 317 students at the middle school, high school qualify for honors and high honors first marking period. And we held a food drive that wrapped up before Thanksgiving, and the Saddlebrook staff and students donated almost 1,000 items to the food pantry. The seniors donated the most, so they're getting a dress down day. And last but not least, not really last, but second to last, I just would, usually in December, we have the choir sing to us and bring us some holiday tunes and cheer. But unfortunately, because of the situation that we are in with COVID, that is not happening tonight. We also take this time to recognize any board members who are outgoing. So I would just personally like to take a moment and give special thanks to Mrs. Regina Barali. I know she doesn't like attention, but she's going to have to suck it up for just a minute, for her service on the Board of Education. Mrs. Barali, for those of you who may not know, she's a principal. She's a mom of students in the district, and she's a dedicated educator. With many, many years dedicating her life to other people's children. She has been wonderful to work with. She has great wisdom and experience, which has benefited me in this role. And I'm just incredibly grateful to have had the time to work with her for 3 years. And I thank her for her service to the community. And I think I can speak on behalf of our team that she's always been a wonderful, helpful, passionate, and very carefully thought out decision maker. And that is really what we need on the board. So thank you, Regina, so very much. As we approach the end of the year and we wind down 2020, you know, it's been a very difficult year for a lot of people. And I don't think we can really go into this holiday, you know, without acknowledging the fact that this holiday will be different for many of us. Some people have lost loved ones to this virus. Some people have suffered themselves because of this virus. Some people, you know, here with us now are still suffering. And we can't forget as we go into the holiday, the value of being safe, value of being healthy. And I just want to thank my entire team, which includes the board, the administrative team, and every single employee in this district. Every custodian and maintenance person, every secretary, every teacher, every administrator, every paraprofessional, every clerk, every substitute, because we couldn't have survived this insanity since March 13th without each and every one of you. I wish you all a safe and healthy and happy, blessed holiday and Happy New Year. And we will see you in January. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shanley. We'll now go to the Business Administrator's report. Mr. Crotty?
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Usually I have a few items, but usually tonight or even November, I have the certified election results, but I do not have them yet. But the top three vote getters are Mrs. Mahoney, Mrs. Ottarelli, and a new board member will be Richard Shearer. And I just want to also thank Mrs. Barali for her time on the board. It's been nice working with you, and maybe you'll be back someday, and look forward to it. So for January 6th is our reorganization meeting, and we'll be swearing in those three board members. I'll figure out how we're going to be doing that, but that's still a few weeks away. After we do that and do our normal agenda items, we'll have a training session, ethics training session by New Jersey school boards, which will comply with our QSAC requirements. And the last thing is usually by now we have our audit being wrapped up and even given a report on the December meeting, and they haven't even started the audit yet. That's been pushed back due to, of course, COVID. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crotty. We'll now move to board action items. At the recommendation of the superintendent, I would like to make a motion to approve the following items, and that would be B105 through B109.
Second.
Do there any questions or comments concerning this?
I'm sorry, I missed the first. Who motioned it?
Motion.
Kelly. Well,
Second.
Kelly second, right?
Kelly was motioned and I seconded it.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
whatever.
Are there any questions, comments, discussion on any of these items? Seeing none, may we have roll call, please, Mr. Crotty?
And Ms. Borelli, I'm going to start with you. Give you one
Yes.
more option.
Yes.
Ms. Ainello,
Yes to all, but I'm going to abstain from B109.
Mr. Laurentino,
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
Ms. Roloff,
Yes.
Ms. Otterelli,
Yes.
Ms. Raccomando,
Yes.
and Mr. Quinn.
Yes. We'll now move to education and curriculum, E101 through E103. May I have a motion with the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the following items?
Motion. Second.
Second.
Are there any questions, comments, discussion on any of these items? Seeing none, may we have roll call, please, Mr. Crotty?
Ms. Borelli,
Yes.
Ms. Ainello,
Yes.
Mr. Laurentino,
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
Ms. Roloff,
Yes.
Ms. Otterelli,
Yes.
Mr. Raccomando,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn.
Yes. We'll now move to a finance, budget, and facilities. Ms. Roloff, please.
At the recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve the following: F364 through F373, including B371 and B372.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any questions, comments?
I have a question on B373. Can we donate them to anybody instead of throwing them out, or am I way ahead of myself?
No,
Well-
373 is a transfer. So you mean 372 or 371?
I'm sorry, 371.
The Pietos?
Yeah, can we donate them? Or are they too?
They're in disrepair. It's my understanding that they're in disrepair.
That's what we've gotten from that. So
Okay.
no, we wouldn't.
Are you taking one, Mike?
No, I can't play the piano.
Any other questions or comments in this section? Seeing none, may we have roll call, please, Mr. Crotty?
Ms. Borelli,
Yes.
Ms. Ainello,
Yes to all, but I'm going to abstain on F367. I'm going to abstain from item numbers 30 through 33. And then I will abstain from F370.
okay. Mr. Laurentino,
I'm going to vote yes to all, but I'm going to abstain in F367, items number 25 and 29.
Ms. Mahoney,
Vinny, you also want to do 33.
33 then.
Okay, also 33. Thank you.
so 25, 29, and 33. Okay, Ms. Mahoney,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
Ms. Roloff,
Yes.
Ms. Otterelli,
Yes to all except for 367 ID number 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33. I'll be abstaining.
Mr. Accomando,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn.
Yes. We'll now move to policy. Ms. Ianello, please.
Hi, everyone. Okay, at the recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve the following items. There's quite a long list tonight. It's P1581 through P1648.02. Most of these are mandated by the state, so we're going to just have to, they're revisions. There are a few that were new, and some of the changes are title change. Some of them have to do with COVID. Some of them have establishing a lactation policy for teaching staff and sports staff. There's other ones for COVID and making the model for remote learning and in-person learning. Okay, so tonight it will be the first reading. And I think that's pretty much a summary of the policies.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Is that the motion? Second? Sorry, Mr. Quinn needed to step away for just a second, so.
Oh, okay.
Is there any questions or discussion?
Through the chair, I just would like to say I was unable to review all of these policies, so I'll be abstaining on all of them till I can review, and then I'll vote next month for the second reading.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do the same thing. Unfortunately, I got through half of them.
There's a lot.
A lot.
It is a lot. Anybody else? Okay, roll call, please, Mr. Karati.
Ms. Morelli,
Yes.
Ms. Ianello,
Yes.
Mr. Laurentino,
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
Ms. Roloff,
Yes.
Ms. Otterelli,
Abstain.
Mr. Accomando,
Abstain.
and Mr. Quinn.
Yes. We have no negotiations report tonight, so we'll go to personnel. Mr. Accomando?
Sure. At the recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve P417 to P870.
I just want to clarify, Ms. Shelley, if all the items were filled in, I think the.
Can we get a second, please, first?
They're filled in on my
One
copy.
second, please. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
What?
Continue.
It's filled in on my copy. Is it not filled in?
I think the publics are blank for.
The publics are blank for,
868.
okay, so for, yes.
Remove 826.
Okay, we're removing 826
Mm-hmm.
because we need further clarification and details on that. We do not have the dates in hand. We are filling in 867 to appoint Donald Mice Jr. to the position of high school principal at a salary of $145,000. And 868 is William Osborne to the position of high school vice principal at a salary of $110,000. Yes, effective February 10th or sooner. And Mr. Meish's is effective December 15th.
Okay, and I do believe P854, number 15 was a revision.
854, yes. Number 14 was an addition. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, P863 and P864. 863 is supposed to be 4 days, and 864 is supposed to be 5 days.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure the public sees everything we have. And I believe 869 is in bold, Jennifer Cannon to the position of school social worker for the remainder of the 2021 school year at a salary of MA Step 9, effective January 4th, pending all background checks. And that is the last, I think that is it.
The motion.
Sorry.
Oh, you got the motion already, right?
Well, I was going to ask that you and, who do I have second? That they both agree to these changes
Yes.
before you vote? Okay.
B. Mahoney.
Are there any questions or discussion on any of these items and or the changes that were just made?
Through the chair, we're on P520. We are only doing ID number 5. Everything else is last month, or are we all linking it this month? I just have to know so I know how to vote.
Okay, 520, number 5 was changed from Chris Stanton to Chris Ianello.
So that's all we're voting on tonight, correct?
Nope, no, and there's also 2 more.
No, okay.
Yeah, the bold ones. 18 is Jane
Yeah.
Ellen Jenkins. Okay, you can.
24 is you.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, may we have roll call, please, Mr. Karati?
Ms. Morale?
Yes.
Ms. Ianello?
Yes to all, but I'm going to abstain in P520 from item number 5 and 24. Okay. P854. P867 and P868.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lorentino?
I am going to vote yes to all, but under P520, I'm going to abstain from the revision number 24.
Okay, Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Roloff?
Yes.
Ms. Otterelli?
Under P520, I'm going to abstain from number ID 18 and 24 revision. And under P867 and 868, I'll be abstaining and yes to everything else.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes,
Okay, so all motions are good there.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to Mr. Misha and Mr. Osborne. We're looking forward to Mr. Misha's continued service and Mr. Osborne coming aboard as soon as he possibly can.
I think it's Mish, but anyway, is Mr. Osborne here?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that teach.
Hey, I'm not good with
Well,
names.
if he is, I don't know it.
Okay. Back to you, Mish. I can't.
Okay, do we have any committee reports? Budget, finance, and facilities?
Oh, yes, we do. Right, Ray? Okay.
Yes, Ms.
So-
Morale.
Okay, I'm ready. Finance. We just had a meeting December 7th. So under budget, the 2021 to 22 budget process has begun. Administrators will be submitting their budgets before the winter break. The committee will start to review the budget at the end of January. Finance. The township is up to date with monthly tax payments. The district has received or allocated $324,533 in federal, state, and county coronavirus emergency funding. The district is in good shape with our PPE supplies. Food services, the free meal service program is working well, and the department is serving approximately 350 breakfast and lunches per day. Under the agenda, let's see. Purchases with the Brody Trust Fund. We purchased an installation of a digital sign for the middle school, high school. Sign will be placed in direct line from the middle school sign to May Hill. A trench would be dug for electricity. Cost is approximately $23,307 for sign and approximately $1,500 for trench. Oops, my phone was ringing. And electrical work. Oh, Michael. Purchase of 3 used storage containers, 40 feet by 8 feet. The containers will be placed in the grass area next to the auxiliary gym. Cost is approximately $8,025. The committee asked if some of the remaining $7,500 funds could be used for beautification of the grounds in front of the middle school, high school, which I believe we need. And the disposal of pianos and other furniture. I believe Mike will be still taking the piano. And there are some furniture, mainly from the old Synergenics lab and in fair shape, will be sold or donated to another school. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. Stay healthy and safe. That's all.
Thank
Carry
you
on.
very much, Ms. Roloff. Mr. Crowdy, do you have anything to add on that?
No, she did a good job summarizing everything.
Excellent job. Okay, I don't believe either of the other committees have any report, but I would just like to give you an update. Kelly and I sat in on the CUSAC committee meeting yesterday. Basically, part of it is they have to give a report out to the board. We are, I think currently, but at least as of Tuesday, we're scheduled to be having our CUSAC review March 31st. And I just want to thank Danielle, Ray, Tony, Lauren, and the entire administrative team. They went through every item on the CUSAC report, and we are in amazing shape for going through it. With what they have already together, we could pass CUSAC. And there's a couple more items that they will have completed by March 31st to just put icing on the cake, so to speak. In my 8 years here, I have never seen us be ahead of the game and ready for CUSAC early, much less 3 months early. That is an amazing accomplishment and really speaks to how well our administrative team works and how much they're on top of everything going on. It was incredible to get the report and see everything going on. I'm sure the board will be getting that information shortly. Now, on the sad part of it, it seems like today it came out that due to the COVID situation, the CUSAC review will probably be postponed, and possibly this whole cycle could be postponed for 3 years so that it doesn't interrupt anybody else's cycles. So if that's the case, I am sure in 3 years, we will be in even better position to face the CUSAC review. So again, thank you, Danielle, Ray, Tony, Lauren, and our entire administrative team for such incredible on-time work. It was great to see. Now we will go to liaison reports. Does anybody have any from NJSBA, Education Foundation? Almost always has something. No? All right, I guess we have no liaison reports tonight.
How about PTO?
That's under PTO, PTA liaisons, so yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the middle school, high school PTO meeting was on November 23rd. Mr. Meisch was there and gave a presentation on security. He also talked a bit about vaping and the protocols that they have at the middle school, high school. At the meeting, they talked about the future meetings that would be virtual. They also talked about the teacher appreciation and ways that the teacher could be appreciated this year. They are trying to brainstorm different ways, obviously not being able to go into schools and not being able to bring in food and not having lunch, but they are trying many different ways to come up with something to appreciate the teachers. Just a reminder that the PTO dues are $20 that can be paid through PayPal and MyBucks. I believe the deadline is going to be in sometime in January, and in order to participate in the scholarship that they hand out at the end of the year, you have to be an active member. So please join, and so that you, if you have a senior, you can have your senior apply to the scholarship. And I believe the future meeting for January will be on January 25th. Okay, and I would like to thank Mr. Meisch for coming to the meeting and doing a very nice job. And everyone else at the PTO as well. And thank you, everyone, and have a great holiday.
Thank you very much. Are there any more PTO, PTA reports? Okay, then we'll move on. Do we have any correspondence this week?
We don't have any. So that's no.
Any old business? Okay, in new business, I was going to say this at the front of the meeting, but I really didn't want to follow Danielle's speech, so hopefully everybody forgot most of that. And I just want to thank Regina Borelli for the board for her service over the years. She has been a great board member and very valuable to us with her well thought out knowledge of the situation and education as a whole. We will miss you. So thank you very much, and we hope to see you back again. Any other new business?
Yeah, I just want to echo what you said, thanking Regina for her service. She was a well-articulated board member who I tried to emulate a little throughout the course of the year, and I'd like to wish her luck in everything she does going forward. Also, while I'm talking, just a quick comment on the great job the staff from administration, teachers, paras, custodians are doing during the pandemic. Really, you're the backbone that's what's making this very difficult situation work. And lastly, just wish everybody a safe and happy holiday season.
Thank you very much. Any other new business?
Through
Yes.
the chair.
Go ahead, Sylph.
Thanks, Mike. Through the chair, I also just want to reiterate and say, gee, it's been a hell of a ride for the past 6 years with you. I'm looking forward to next year when you do come back. You have been a big inspiration to me, okay? And I appreciate that. Looking forward to it again. And I want to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday, COVID-free, of course, and see you all next year.
Thank you, Mr. Accomando.
Yes, of course, I'd like to thank Gina for all her time she spent unpaid away from the family. But thank you for all that you've done, you do. Also, if there's anybody out there who knows a family who needs a little bit of extra something during the holiday, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but please try to get in touch with me on Facebook, and if I can help, I definitely will. And next month we pick up. I think Kelly's gonna be our next president, so congratulations to Kelly on being president next year. And everybody have a happy holiday, safe holiday. Thank you.
Thank
Mike,
you.
I need a grant. Can I reach out on Facebook?
If it's for somebody who needs it.
Any other new business? Okay. May I have a motion to open the meeting for public comment?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, again, go to the center, click on the button, look for the raised hand. Mr. Crotty will call on you and then unmute you. Residents are required to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Mr. Crotty, you have the helm.
Okay, yes, first we have Matt Martinez.
Good evening, everybody. Matt Martinez, sixth grade teacher, Long Memorial School, SBEA president. Good evening, board trustees, Mrs. Shanley, Mr. Karate, ladies and gentlemen of my beloved Saddlebrook community. I thank you all in advance for your time for this evening. I would like to extend a specific thanks to Mrs. Borelli for her dedication to a quality education for every student in our schools and for her service to this community. I had the pleasure of knowing her through our school, and I just want to say thank you very much. I would also like to congratulate Mrs. Mahoney and Mrs. Ottarelli on their election to another term. As we attempt to conduct business as usual, as we strive for the surety which we need our children to believe we possess, this pandemic spares none and takes from all, without prejudice. It took first our normalcy, our work lives and home lines intersected, our schedules became mere suggestions. Then it came for our productivity. Everything became more challenging, even the simple things. We all found out about Zoom fatigue. In some cases, it took our very loved ones or made them sick to the point of hospitalization. And that was April. Months later, or years as it feels, we continue to live with this. We sit in a Zoom meeting, not deeming it worth the risk to breathe each other's air, tacitly acknowledging the severity of this crisis and our situation. And yet tomorrow, most of our schools will be open. This is the hardest that I have ever worked in my relatively short time in education. Almost every teacher I've spoken to says the same thing. I recognize graciously the work of our administration too, and what they are doing to keep us afloat. We are all working harder and yet accomplishing less than we ever have before where it counts with our students. This is not the fault of our students or their families. My students in particular are putting forth more effort and trying harder than I've ever seen a sixth grade class do. As I often remind them, you are being asked to do more than any 11 or 12-year-olds that I have ever taught have been asked, and I am tremendously proud of them. Meanwhile, the situation outside our doors worsens. As of December 4, Bergen County has 37,206 positive cases, as per the county's COVID-19 webpage. 587 of those are in Saddlebrook. This may not seem significant, but when you consider Saddlebrook accounts for a population of less than 14,000, the positivity rate tracks slightly higher than the average for our county. To be clear, it is as bad here as it is everywhere else, anywhere else in Bergen County. What is possibly worse than this is the fact that our assigned health officer oversees more than 40% of all cases in Bergen County. Indeed, this follows with what we've heard from other sources. Bergen County Health Services, as with all of our generally outstanding medical infrastructure, is woefully unprepared for the current surge in COVID cases. They are, according to these sources, weeks behind in their duties. This includes informing potential COVID quarantine cases of their exposure. When I spoke with one of the representatives from the health department about our recent cases and what was being done and advised, not the health officer, mind you, he was far too busy. She spoke from a place of defeat and had little optimism for our ability to stay open. She said courage would be required to do the right thing. As of this morning, 43 districts out of the 76 in Bergen County are remote through the holidays and into January. More than 30 have been so since Thanksgiving. The two things we ask of you, Mrs. Shanley, and of you, our board trustees, are linked. I asked the board for resolutions on the following matters, and Mrs. Shanley, I asked for immediate action in the same matters using your authority as superintendent. As members of our community and in pursuit of transparency, I ask that you have any relevant conversations in front of us here and now so that this community may be part of these important discussions. Our first entreaty, that effective immediately schools be closed to in-person instruction until, at the earliest, January 19th, and then opened only if it is deemed safe and appropriate to do so. The decision to reopen schools should be addressed transparently in the weeks preceding the proposed January 19 in-person reopen date. Our second appeal, upon resumption of in-person instruction, that teaching staff be allowed to work from home when forced to quarantine, provide supervisory care to their children or other dependents, regardless of where they may have been potentially exposed to the virus. Regarding the first point, the closure of in-person schools, there's much to say by all parties. Please do not think that as a group of educators, we have come to this decision lightly or that we believe virtual education to be on par with in-person education, or that our entire membership desires instruction to be virtual indefinitely. This is not the case. However, the overwhelming majority of our members and a significant portion of our community believe that it is the lesser of two evils to close our school prior to the holiday break. I would say prior to the holidays, but they're already upon us. Hanukkah and the inevitable gatherings that accompany it begin tomorrow. Additionally, we're not comparing virtual education with true live in-person instruction. We're talking about a hybrid live streaming model that leaves much to be desired. I find it best to describe our current model of education through an analogy I've often used. We're writing, directing, producing, and starring in our own live television show, which is being broadcast in front of a studio audience. We are crowd control. We are the engineers. We have never done this before September. And this describes a scenario where everything is working correctly. To say that this is a far cry from the educational experience Saddlebrook students received in February and early March of this year is an understatement. In contrast, the purely virtual model of education, the synchronous model of the last few weeks, not the asynchronous model we operated under from March through June, has been improving in the experience of many teachers. This model is far from perfect. Hiccups occur, Wi-Fi goes out, and we are still nowhere near what we can do when all of our students are in front of us. However, for the first time since September, we as educators feel that we are making progress, that things are getting better instead of worse. Many educators, myself included, have found that in the extended virtual session of the last few weeks, our students are working on perfecting one thing and finding successes as they experience consistency in their day-to-day. As children, they're getting the structure that they need. This is one of the most important issues of which I will speak tonight, and perhaps the most salient: educational continuity. Our students are quite frankly not receiving the education they could be if we chose one path and stuck with it. Removing the blameless abstract of the pandemic, this falls at the feet of our consistent procedures, or lack thereof. The only logical remedy to provide a safer and more sound continuity of education is to have our teachers and students do one thing and become proficient at it. Unfortunately, the only option for that one thing should be virtual synchronous instruction until it is safe to return. None of us, not the teachers, not the students, not the families, none of us will become proficient and fluid as we need to be, given the time constraints of our current schedule, if we go into and out of school at a moment's notice. After all, we could be caught off guard and shut down tomorrow. Shouldn't we take control of the situation before it forces our hand? Any teacher worth their salt will tell you that good systems, rules, and procedures will save you, and bad systems will cost you more than you have to give. How you plan, how you assign, how you collect grades and return them, how you meet with children in therapeutic settings, the rules and procedures that make our classrooms run. All of these things, every one of them, needed to be rethought and redesigned in light of COVID. But we did it. We figured out how to make it work. We put in time and effort and created new systems, and then redefined them. And as changes came, we tweaked them, and tweaked again. But the enemy of systems is change. As we fluctuate back and forth between in-person and hybrid learning, as we attempt to perfect something which was different yesterday and will probably be different tomorrow, we miss consistency and our children suffer. To be clear, we're talking about 8 days of school in the month of September, in the month of December, if this begins tomorrow. Given the structure of our cohort system, this amounts to 4 days for the majority of students still attending in-person instruction. For those at long school, we're talking about 6 days and 3, respectively. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the hardships the families of our students have gone through since this crisis began. They have been tasked with finding, frankly, an unattainable work-life balance, while also taking an unprecedentedly large role in their children's education, that of the teacher, and in many cases, that of the paraprofessional, without the benefit of experience or content knowledge. We, as educators, cannot tell you how much we appreciate you and what you have done for your kids, for our students, and we thank you. Much has been said of childcare in recent months, and public schools roll in it. I do not have children, though I hope one day to be so lucky. So I cannot imagine that those of you who do what you have gone through in these past months. I empathize with you as much as I am able, knowing the importance of structure and socialization for children, but we must acknowledge that there are cases when we prioritize other things before our childcare, which in most cases in our district's current model is 2 half-days per week. As a district, we recently eliminated an entire program of childcare without a replacement, Champions, before and after care, because of the potential of an unsafe environment for our children. We know that COVID is in our community and regularly makes its way into our schools. Surely we should treat this very real threat with equal ardor for the safety of our children, their families, and our staff and their families. This leads us to our second appeal, that teaching staff be allowed to work remotely upon return to live instruction. This includes when we are forced to quarantine or provide supervisory care for children or other dependents. Our staff does not have the right that our students' families have of deciding with good reason to operate remotely, either temporarily or indefinitely. Almost all cases of working remotely have been denied, either formally or by teachers not deeming it worth to make the request, knowing they will be turned down based on their colleagues' experiences. Additionally, the FFCRA, the Family First Coronavirus Relief Act, the federal program which provide 2 weeks of paid time off in some cases, expires at the end of the year. In the coming year, we'll be leaning on our own sick time if we are lucky enough to have it. Ourselves and our families are not only put at risk by our continued exposure at school. I challenge you to watch the face of a medical professional as you explain how SNAC works at the elementary level. But should our children or other dependents need to quarantine or themselves go virtual, an increasingly common experience as neighboring districts shutter their physical schools and make the move to virtual, we are forced to choose between our careers, our paychecks, and our families. Additionally, substitute teachers, where they can be found, are taking the place of educators for reasons that are not entirely clear. We are allowing unknowns into our cohorts. However, if the district needs to hire a substitute anyway, why not let the teacher work from home, live stream into the class, and run the class from there with the sub's assistance? The technical requirements and details already exist. It can be done. I'll not bore you with them here. I will, of course, provide them, should you wish to hear them later. Creativity will be required to manage this, as it always is in education, but I have faith in our school system to figure this out. I directly ask, why is this being denied? Is it because you do not trust us with the responsibility to do what is right, or is there some legal reason preventing us from doing so? And let us make clear in making the distinction between the responsibility of watching a child indirectly and giving direct supervisory care. While the latter may prevent one from adequately performing their task, the former and more frequent of the two can be done alongside one's job, as tens of millions of Americans demonstrated this year. One needs only to be the adult in the house, there for emergencies, to have a day set up for your child and to be a reassuring presence and provide basic oversight and security. Let us avoid the argument against this, that one cannot work and watch their children at the same time. This is especially true if we understand the circumstances we are in and extend the most basic of human rights to our staff, to allow them to provide care for their child when it is not hurting the district. I would also bring up the fact, while social gathering groups outside the home unit is discouraged by every scientific body with the authority to make such a proclamation, and I am definitely not encouraging it, we are approaching the holidays and people wish to be with their loved ones. Even in this secular setting, we can appreciate the holy nature of this season. And I'm referring to the etymology of the word, the origin shared with whole and the concept of oneness. We are whole when we are with those we love, full stop. When have we needed that more than now? Exhausted with bad news and with little good on the horizon. It borders on audacity to strongly discourage people to have reasonable gatherings with their close families during such a time, and yet mandate people to do exactly this with multiple cohorts and their families by extension, at their place of work. My heart goes out to those who were made to quarantine right before Thanksgiving, especially when that exposure would not have happened if we pursued a virtual model earlier. I would like to conclude by saying that this is not easy. I do not envy anyone in a position of leadership during such a time. They didn't sign up for this. You didn't sign up for this. We didn't either. All of our lives have changed so much this year. We are relying on your logic to see the sense in these appeals. We are relying on your cooperation to find a solution, and we are relying on you to close the schools until at least January 19th and to allow the reasonable work from home conditions which I have outlined above. And before you thank me for my comments and we all move on, I ask that you take a moment and seriously consider my words and the many people for whom I am speaking tonight. Thank you. Stay safe, and a very happy holiday season to you and your family. Be well.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Next we have Elaine De Palma.
Hi. Thank you so much. Elaine De Palma. I live at 87 South West Wing. I'm a paraprofessional at Helen I. Smith School. I'm the SBTAA co-president. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight on the subject that's a great concern to our members too. We support our teachers' concerns, and Mr. Martinez spoke so passionately and so beautifully and eloquently about everything that the paraprofessionals are also concerned about too. We see how hard the teachers are working, and we're right there alongside them, trying to help them as best as we can. And I also want to mimic too that we're also requesting that the Board of Ed pivots to a virtual learning for the remaining in-person learning. It's just days. We're not asking for weeks or months. It is just days. And those days will guarantee our staff from having to call anyone saying they need to quarantine for the holidays. We can safely say we are all concerned about being the next positive case on Bergen County's ever-growing COVID list. These thoughts, coupled with the ever-rising case numbers, is causing unnecessary stress and anxiety throughout our schools. We're thankful that we will be virtual after our winter break because our schools can adjust to welcoming back even more students. And as more students return, we need to add desk shields or reconfigure the class to keep everyone safe with social distancing. We all prefer to be in school with our students and colleagues, just like we did when we started back in September. But we all have the right to feel safe at school. And with the rise of people getting sick, we just don't all feel safe anymore. If everyone would just follow the superintendent's advice and guidelines, the safety and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff wouldn't be at risk right now. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk. It was hard to follow Matt. He was really good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Good seeing you again.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you. Next, we have Lacey Fitzgerald Trongone.
Hi, Lacey Fitzgerald Trongone, 186 Colonial Ave. First and foremost, I want to thank Mr. Martinez and Mrs. De Palma for their comments. As a parent, I understand and wholeheartedly respect their concerns. They're going into work every day, being concerned for their well-being and their safety. I think that we're all concerned for all of our, well-being and safety. I have to say though that my son, who is in second grade and is now on a hybrid model, is not getting, as Mr. Martinez said, the education that he deserves. He is bright in school, he loves school, and to no fault of the teachers are doing absolutely amazing jobs in absolutely unforgiving and impossible circumstances. But the idea of closing through the holidays is very disheartening, I think, for a lot of parents. Our children do need some type of stability. My son looks forward to going to school. He thrives when he's in school. When he's home, no matter how much he's in front of that computer screen with the teacher, he needs help. He's not understanding things. And again, it's a daily struggle. And this is with parents that I speak to on a daily basis are feeling the same things. We are not seeing our family. We didn't see our family for Thanksgiving. We didn't see our family for the holidays. We're not going to see our family for Christmas because our kids are in school, because kids in other, clusters in our families are in school. And, excuse my language, it sucks, but this is what we're all going through. And I really hope that it's strongly considered that this isn't just a few days. They were virtual for the Thanksgiving week. So now we'll have 1 day back in school if they close tomorrow. They'll have 2 weeks virtual, 1 week vacation, 2 more weeks virtual. That's a lot of virtual time. And then who knows what's going to happen after that. So I just beg that there's a conversation that needs to happen, that this isn't just a one person making a decision, that a conversation happens, that everyone can be safe, and we do the best that we can for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak? I don't see any more hands raised. Oh, I do have one. Mr. DJ Meisch.
Hey guys, I'm going to be quick, I promise. I just want to thank you guys, Danielle, and the board for your support, for the people on the committee who grilled me. Thank you. I'm looking forward to, we got a lot of work to do still. And looking forward to a good year. Won't let you guys down. Thank you.
Thank you. We have great faith in you and expect a lot.
No pressure.
Okay, we're gonna go back to Lacey Fitzgerald.
I'm so
trombone.
sorry. I had one more question that I forgot to bring up. Matt had brought up about the teachers being able to work from home. I believe at one of the last meetings that were had, that Mrs. Shanley had brought up that the teachers are being prepped or told to bring their work home so that if they need to work from home at a moment's notice, if anyone says that they need to be quarantined, they can. So it seems like from Mr. Martinez that that's not the case. So I'm just wondering where that gap is coming in, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wishing to speak? Yes, we have Beth Lamboy.
Sorry, I'll be quick. I just want to commend everybody for all the hard work they're doing, the teachers. I know everybody's tired. It's hard. It's hard for everybody. Mr. Martinez spoke very eloquently. Everybody makes their decisions based on their needs for their family. Everybody's worked really hard. It is impressive that we've been able to stay open this long, that we started from the beginning open. Not everybody else has had that. And the district collectively has worked really hard to make that happen. So regardless of what decision is made, everybody should be commended for that, the teachers, the staff, everybody. Mr. Meisch, glad that you are officially principal now. Congratulations. Ms. Brow, thank you for all the work that you've done. And I just want to wish everybody a nice, happy, safe holiday. On a side note, I do want to mention I work in healthcare. Mr. Martinez, just to put it in perspective, healthcare-wise, if we have to quarantine, even if we're exposed at work, we have to use our sick time and we don't get paid. So I'm not saying you shouldn't get paid if you have to quarantine or you shouldn't be able to work from home. It's just at the hospital, we're at very high risk, and we, whether we contract it at work or we contract it anywhere else, we the same applies for us. So it's unfair across the board. But I wish everybody happy holidays, happy, safe holidays, and a happy new year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Jennifer Ween.
Hi, Jennifer Ween, 400 Bay Saddle River Road. I'm also a union president for my school, and I stand in solidarity with you all. The parent of a senior inmate really wants my daughter to be at school every ounce and moment that she can be this year. But I do believe that you all have rights that are not being met and needs that are not being met. If administration can work from home, there's no reason you all can't do the same. They shouldn't be forced to take leaves or resign or work, because, they don't want to accommodate your needs. That's definitely not okay. We've been teaching at home at my school since day one this year, and it sucks, and it's the worst thing I've ever had to do, teaching for 22 years and all of a sudden starting over. But we do what we have to do as teachers, and I'm sure that the staff of this district would be able to do the same and would be able to handle working from home and would be able to handle managing things the way they need to be done, as those of us who are doing it this way are doing. So I hope that things will be considered and the teachers' needs will also be considered, because they're clearly not at this point. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't see anybody else right now. Anybody else wishing to speak? I think that might, oh, Tom Viscardi. I think it's Michaela Viscardi.
Hi. So I just wanted to clear something up for Mrs. Fitzgerald. Maybe this will help a little bit. I know you were asking about what Mr. Martinez was saying about teachers not being able to go and teach from home. Yes, Mrs. Shanley made sure to tell us that if we ever had to teach at home at a moment's notice, let's say there was an emergency closing, we do all have to be prepared for that, and which we are. But what he's referring to is, let's say there is somebody in our own family. For example, my son had to be quarantined. His 6th grade class was asked to quarantine. The whole 6th grade had to quarantine. Even though it wasn't his teacher, they had to be home, and I needed to be home there with him because I did not want to expose my mom God forbid. So I wanted to be home. I only needed to be home for 3 days. I teach virtually live from my art room. I don't have any kids in the room with me. I literally teach again through the computer live. And I was just asking to work from home, live, doing the exact same thing, just I would have a different background. Unfortunately, I was told that we could not do that. I was to put up substitute plans. And that's what happened. I really wanted to work. I was asking to work. And they just said that as a rule of the district that they could not accommodate anybody to work from home. So I had to take off those 3 days and put up sub work. And basically what Mr. Martinez is asking and us as a SBEA, that if anything like that happens, again, myself, anybody else, if we are able to work from home and it is not any kind of negative bearing on the district, that we should be able to, because that was lost time that I had with my students. That was a lapse in their learning. I had to put up, kind of nonsense work for the kids. I hate to use that word, but I know that I provide a positive art education for my students. And what I had to put up for them was just, for fun kind of thing. And I didn't really want to do that. And I do understand that they did want to make rules the same for everybody. But I've been hearing there's been discrepancies with that. So we just want to have that opportunity. If God forbid we need to be home, teach from home. And that's what Mr. Martinez was trying to express. So I just wanted to clarify that with you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're gonna have Lacey Fitzgerald Trongone.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I understand that. I'm asking why that's not allowed to happen. Is there a reason that that's not allowed to happen? If that would benefit the students and the teachers, why isn't that something that's in place or can be in place, worked out? But I hope that there's an answer for that.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wishing to address the board? I don't see any more. Mr. Quinn?
Okay, seeing none.
I'm sorry. Can I say something really quick? Hi. Samara Hadnot, District Behaviorist. I am 557 Oratani Place in Teaneck. I just want to speak to the fact that we, as an employee of this district, I feel that we are a success story, that we've been open since September, that we have been successfully teaching our students, whether it be schools going on quarantine or classrooms going on quarantine. I think that really speaks to the leadership and not only the dedication of us teachers. No one really goes into the education field for the financial benefit that you get. We are dedicated to our students. We want to see them each and every day. And for Mr. Martinez to present tonight, I know that that was probably very difficult to speak on our behalf, because as a teacher to say, listen, we want to take some time away just for our safety of our family is very difficult to say. Lacey, I have to say I'm a mother of 3. I have fought to have my personal children in school since September. My district has not allowed that opportunity, but there was a short period where one of my children was going to school, and every day that she went to school, I agree. She came home a completely different child, and I understand that. But I also understand the fear that we live with going into our buildings. I know no matter what the field that you're working in, if you're going to work every day, there is a fear that comes with it. But right now we are needing a little bit of, I don't want to call it respite, but I am going to call it respite for our holiday season, where we do want to be with our families. We need it. We've been working really, really hard, and it's something that we value. And our Thanksgivings, we didn't have that. So if there's any way to even think of that too, and I know how hard it is to make a decision to keep your child home. Everyone who's made the decision to send your child in, I know you took that risk with us going to work, the same risk of health for your child, and I understand that. But I think the takeaway from what Mr. Martinez presented is that we're scared, We need to be with our families for the holiday season, and we are all working really, really hard for the benefit of your children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any more hands up. Anybody wishing to address the board before we close the public participation?
Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the meeting for public comment?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are closed for public comment. Ms. Shanley, do you want to say anything at this point?
Actually, Steve, if I could just briefly jump in here. A lot of legal-based things were brought up by the unions, both unions, and their various representatives that I know that some board members have questions about. And in order to address what the public and those union members have asked, I think we need to have a discussion and close first so I can answer those legal questions.
Okay, thank you.
So I would at least like to say this. Number one, I cannot speak to anybody's individual particular case. I certainly won't and can't and wouldn't do that here. That's number one. As far as quarantining and being compensated to quarantine, this is what we have in place. So unlike Mrs. Lamboy, who is a nurse and who does not get federal funding to get paid to stay home, we actually do. Our faculty and staff does receive funding should they need to quarantine. They have the choice to quarantine. Now, this is a quarantine from their own life and their own experience. This isn't a mandated quarantine imposed upon them by the district. Okay, this is when their husband has COVID and now they have to stay home. Their child has child care issues. They're not in school and now they need to stay home and take care of their children. There's a child care leave that is available to them. There is a COVID leave that is available to them. There is their sick time, personal time, family emergency time, all of which is paid. And they know the process that they need to engage in to take advantage of that time. And if you will see our agendas since August, we have leaves all over them. People who are either being paid or who are taking their own time, etc. There is a mix. In the event that we put somebody on quarantine and I say to you, Mrs. Fitzgerald, you have to go on quarantine for 2 weeks because you came into contact with an individual. You are paid to go on quarantine and you do teach from home. And we do hire a sub in the event, let's say your blue group stays home, but your gold group is quarantined, okay? What we can't manage to do is cover every quarantine that is not a quarantine that we've initiated. So it's the quarantines for your own personal contacts, and those are covered by those leaves. So it's a little complicated. There are a lot of layers to it, but what we can't manage because we cannot secure substitutes, that's really the key, is that we can't manage to allow people to work from home for teaching their class and hire a substitute to cover the students who are in the room. It would essentially shut down the school. So that is how we have been proceeding, just for clarification. And I know that we need to speak more with our attorney. I thank Mr. Martinez. Mr. Martinez and I have had many conversations. We've tried to do different things. One of them was shifting to this virtual instructional model or streaming model to help lift the burden on the teachers who were teaching 3 instructional groups. I respect Matt. I respect the work of the teachers and the paraprofessionals. Nobody wants to put anyone in harm's way, but as you know, based on the numbers that I shared with you before, we do have parents who really do want their children in school. And we do have students who are, for social and emotional reasons, very often, as well as educational reasons, need to be in school. I understand both sides. It's very difficult. There's not a single decision we have made since March 13th that has not been discussed and has not been difficult. It's all difficult. So we're not, addressing this lightly, but we do need to speak with our attorney. I also forgot, not that I forgot because they are members of our faculty, but I do want to give a very special thank you to our nursing staff. Our nursing staff has been working day, night, weekends, holidays, calling the county, calling parents, examining children, really putting themselves in the middle of it all, examining us, taking care of all of us. They have been exceptional, and they really just need special recognition, as well as our central office staff who has not stopped. So thank you so much, everybody. And I guess we will go into closed for a little bit and then come out.
Through the chair, I have a question. Do we have to make a proposal to go to review Mr. Martinez's request, or we're going to do that anyway?
So I think we'll go into closed and we'll be taking no further action when we come back. There won't be any need for the board to take action tonight.
Thank you. I just want to quickly say, and I'm not going to try to address all of the concerns that were discussed in open comment tonight. I just want to, say, as we all know, there is no such thing as an easy decision in 2020. But I do want to reiterate something that I've said many times. Our teachers are working insane hours and incredibly hard trying to give our students the best possible education. Our teachers are, our administrators are, our custodian and maintenance staff are working as hard to keep everybody as safe. I'm very proud of every single person that works in this district, because you are all doing an amazing job and going above and beyond anything that was ever thought of when you started on your profession. It's been an insane year. We appreciate all of your dedication and your hard work and getting through this. So thank you all very much. Your work is noticed and it is truly appreciated. On that note, I would also like to say our next board meeting is January 6th, which is the reorganization meeting at 7 p.m. And then we will announce at a later date when the next caucus and regular meeting is. Everyone, please have a great, happy, and extremely safe holiday season. And again, thank you very much for everything you do for the district and our students. On that note, may I have a motion to go into closed session, to recess to close executive session, discuss matters of attorney-client privilege per NJSA 10-4-6, the Open Public Meetings Act. The subject matter discussed may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Action will not be taken when the board reconvenes in open.
And just to be clear, Steve, the discussion topic is whether or not the board's already pre-approved COVID plan has been implicated by any of these things that were brought up tonight.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do I have
Before
a
we
motion?
go into motion and make a motion, what link are we going into? Are we getting a new one?
You can go back into mine if you want.
Well, I think we should. Okay.
I could send it out again.
Thank
I
you.
have it. Just want to make sure that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a motion? Anyone?
Motion.
Thank you. Do we- Thank you. All in favor of going into closed? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned. Have a great, happy, safe night, weekend, holiday season.
Okay, I think we're good to go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crotty. May I have a motion to reconvene the meeting in open?
Motion.
Motion, second.
Third.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are now back in open. Ms. Shanley, would you like to make a statement?
Sure, I would. Thank you very much. I would like to just acknowledge the comments that were made in open public session before, and let all of you who are here, not so many of you here, know that we did hear what you said. We understand where you're coming from. We also understand the concerns of the parents and the very important needs of the children, both socially, emotionally, academically. And we are going to do our very best to meet you halfway. So what I am recommending and will be sharing with the full faculty and the parents tomorrow is our concession to have hybrid in-person learning through Friday, December 18th, and shift to a purely virtual model for the following week. So the 21st, 22nd, 23rd will be purely virtual. And our last in-person day of instruction before the holiday will be Friday, December 18th. That allows parents the time to make arrangements for their children. It allows teachers the opportunity to have from Friday afternoon a solid week essentially before the holiday, or at least before Christmas for those who celebrate Christmas. And for those who celebrate other holidays, I will be reminding parents and families and staff and faculty that if you're spending any time with people outside of your immediate household, that we urge you to follow the necessary quarantine of 14 days. So that is what we discussed and agreed upon. It doesn't require board action. However, we believe it is a good faith effort to meet everybody halfway. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shanley. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you all very much. Have a great night. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy
Happy New
Hanukkah,
Year.
all that good stuff. Bye.